In these later days, when the mind of man has put into application so many wonderful inventions that far excel our expectations of 20 years ago, we are beginning to realize that there are no boundary lines to man's unfoldment, mentally or spiritually. When we think of the steam engine, the steamboat, the power of electricity that lights our streets, lifts us up in elevators and runs our streetcars, the telephone, which annihilates distance and enables us to talk as easily with the person hundreds of miles distant as if they were in the same room with us. And last of all, the flying machine, soaring the air, which will no doubt in future years become a popular means of travel. We can easily see how that which is regarded as impossible by the world at one time, in a later period becomes a reality. All these wonders have proceeded from the mind of man. Not many men, but one great thinker and dreamer here and there, isolated from his fellow men, who works out slowly and patiently, many times against great odds, his idea. Such men were first laughed at and called fools when they sought recognition, but later when they had succeeded in their work, they were regarded as benefactors of mankind. These great dreamers and workers are the magicians of the world, whose powers transmute the crude into the beautiful, the useless into the useful, and by the direction of their power, in the channels, religion, science, art, mechanics, literature, and music, they have made the world what it is today in beauty, power, and knowledge. To the few, every time man owes us privileges. But what these few have done and are doing, all mankind can rise to if they but will to do so. These great souls who stand upon the heights have earned the right to the position they now occupy by sacrifice and struggle, and that very height is open to all who will but climb to it. There is something deep, divine, mysterious within man's nature from which he draws the magical power to go on, ever forward and upward to the heights of progress and unfoldment. From the very first up to the present day, man has felt this longing within him, and it has prompted him to refine his nature, develop himself, and slowly bring the resources of the earth under his control. This power, when unfolded and developed to a great degree, makes of him a true magician. As a bird can fly no higher than its wings will carry it, so man can rise only to the heights that his aspiring thoughts can lift him. To know the things that belong to the higher regions of thought, it's always necessary for man to raise himself to those regions. They do not come down to him. He must climb up to them, and this is accomplished through aspiration, which always precedes inspiration, that glorious, heavenly state in which man sees and knows, and his whole being is thrilled with the power of his knowledge, as the harp vibrates under the touch of a master hand. To be inspired, man must elevate himself to the plane upon which inspiration dwells. That is why we say that inspiration is the result of aspiration, because by aspiration we look upward, and the soul drinks of the waters of truth, as much as it needs, or rather we should say, as much as its past efforts have fitted it to appropriate. For in this divine fountain we never quite quench our thirst, as we are ever aspiring, ever looking for more light. At the present day, there is a great upheaval going on, a condition of great unrest, which will shake everything to its very depth. Nothing will escape its influence. Government, politics, and religion all will be greatly affected. There will be chaos and confusion, darkness and distress, but out of it all will rise order, divine harmony, a more perfect plan. The age of cold materialism will pass out, and the new golden age of the spirit shall be ushered in. Man will awaken, he will be free. Dogma and creed will be of the past, and man, liberated from his confining limitations, will be like a bird freed from its cage, free to use his mind and think for himself on life's great questions, free to listen to the promptings of that inner voice, whose guidance will ever lead him to the heights of the spirit. We can now in the present day see the signs of spiritual awakening abroad throughout the land, and this wave of the Spirit is bringing about a state of soul sensitiveness to many, which is enabling them to come in closer touch with the great invisible realm which sustains and surrounds this planet. The cultivation of this power of intuition is the foremost requirement for the attainment of spiritual knowledge. It's the source from which springs all other psychic faculties. When once man communicates with the spirit that is within him, he will find that as the bird in the air and the fish in the water, both are able to live and know what to do there, so he can live his life and be guided by his spiritual nature. The saying which was engraved over the gates of the old world, "Know thyself," was indeed one of the greatest and wisest of suggestions. And he who would be a magician must not only know himself, but be himself. In being original, we strike the keynote of greatness. That which has made all great souls has been their originality. Nothing of real value is gained by imitation. It's like the moon which dimly reflects the light of the sun. The sun's direct rays are filled with great life-giving principles, but the cold light of the moon is dead and devoid of energy. Man should study the works of great men, and he should take unto himself their sublime suggestions, and then give to the world the best that is within him, without imitating anybody. Experience is the vital thing in the life of man, which awakens and brings into expression the faculties that lie within him. Wisdom is a result of experience linked with memory, for he who remembers the lesson gained through experience increases his knowledge. He reaches a state wherein he has the ability to discriminate between the good and the bad. In speaking of man as a magician, it would first be best to define magic. As to many minds, the words magic and magician are synonymous with those of conjurer or sleight of hand performers who does mysterious tricks on the stage. Paracelsus tells us that magic is the exact and absolute science of nature and her laws, and through the science of nature is closely connected with religion, since it initiates men into the secrets of divinity. The exercise of true magic does not require ceremonies or the making of circles. It only requires strong faith in the omnipotent power of all good. All things are controlled by law. The magician studies the laws governing the universe and then makes every effort to work in harmony with them, making them his servants in the working out of his ideas. The great work is the creation of man by himself, and the materials of which the superior man is constructed are the emotions of the spirit. The builders are love, will, and reason, and wisdom is the supreme architect. Carlyle said, "The meaning of life here on earth might be defined as consisting in this: to enfold yourself, to work what thing you have the faculty." It is indeed by work and work alone that man reaches any high plane of attainment. When we attend the recital of a great musician, we are thrilled, charmed by the beauty and power of expression. A subtle something which is called personal magnetism holds us, psychologizes us, and for the time our minds are under the control of the performer who can make us laugh or cry at will. Those great artists are magicians, but the magical power which they seem to express so easily, so gracefully, is the result of years of tireless practice, day in and day out. This alone brought them to the position they now occupy. Is it not also truly magical, in effect, the power which enables the painter to bring forth from the white, flat canvas a picture which is so true to nature that it delights the eye? Or the sculptor, who from a solid block of marble brings forth the human form in all its symmetrical beauty? Then too the writer whose book unfolds before you the history of past periods, the wisdom of the ages, the beauty of poem and romance. These people are all magicians, as are the scientists, the discoverers, the inventors. These are the souls that are supporting humanity, lifting, guiding, and saving them. And every time we find that work is the key of their success and power. The idle man can never become a magician. The first thing to do is to believe in yourself, in your power, then act. Practice is the secret of gaining great ends. In order to develop these magical forces, the most important and essential things are faith, imagination, will, and enthusiasm. Tolstoy said, "Faith is the force of life." True faith rests on spiritual knowledge, and without that kind of knowledge, there can be no faith. A man without faith, faith in himself, faith in mankind, and faith in God, lacks the soul-inspiring element of life. The imagination is another important factor. Indeed, we might say that a strong faith and a powerful imagination are the two pillars supporting the door to the temple of magic. The influence of the imagination is great for good or evil according to the desire that prompts it. Therefore, it should be controlled and directed into proper channels. Magic is the use of the will in guiding and controlling the external forces of nature, and is, as its name implies, the great science. The power of the will is the highest force man is endowed with, for it gives him the energy to bring into external being the ideals of his consciousness. There are many dreamers in the world whose thoughts are remarkable, but most of them lack the willpower necessary to make the effort in order to bring into a state of reality their dreams. Dreams are indeed the seeds from which have sprung all great and wonderful things. But the vivid imagination which creates them must be combined with a strong will to make them germinate and grow. These great faculties, however, are lacking until enthusiasm combines them. Enthusiasm is defined as intense or rapturous feelings felt or displayed, whether habitually or in a particular case, by individuals or by masses, especially as exhibited in ardent zeal over a person, principle, or cause. Enthusiasm is made up of two Greek words, en meaning in, and theos meaning God. Those who live and work in enthusiasm do live in God, and God lives in them. For enthusiasm is the expression of the divine in man. We have only to think of the wonderful enthusiasm of a mother with her child to perceive a force greater than all other forces combined to push humanity slowly upward. Youth is enthusiasm, and if a man be 100 and is still capable of feeling enthusiasm, he is young. Not only is he young, but he is useful. The real ghosts that haunt this planet are mortals without enthusiasm. For, as Buddha stated, those who are in earnest do not die. Those who are thoughtless are as if dead already. There are some men who drag themselves along at 30 who are dead. Their enthusiasm oozed away. While there are other men at 80 who are thrilled with sublime life and who give the world great books, divine melodies, and useful inventions, as well as being useful members of society in other respects. Man must laugh at age if he would be a magician. He must realize that he makes himself as old as he wills. We would therefore say unto man that enthusiasm is the great spring of eternal life, life that is progressive, life that is creative, and to drink of its waters constantly and freely, that his innermost nature may respond to this divine elixir and become inspired, not only to live but to do, not only to dream but to create. Would you, O man, become a magician? Would you bring a great power and light into your life? Then go into the silence and communicate with self. Self, the great sphinx of life, for when all problems are solved, there ever remains the riddle of self. It is the greatest, the deepest of all mysteries that ever has or ever will hold the attention of man. Become acquainted with this wondrous being within you and listen to its voice. Then stir up the smothering coals of enthusiasm. Feel yourself burn with its mighty force, and strength divine will be yours, the power to see, the courage to dare, and the patience to succeed.